James and I just saw an early screening of The Substance, which is an indie film directed by female filmmaker, writer, director. I don't know how to fully pronounce her name. I think it's Coralie, and it's like some French last name. I don't know if you remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but neither of us have seen her first film. This film, it's
Coralie Fargeat, I think is probably how you say it.
She's French. I'm pretty sure that. Yeah. Anyway, if you watch the trailer of this movie, you will get the tone of this film. You will get that it's going to be a wild fucking ride. And that is exactly what it was. And we went to see it at a free screening from the American Cinematheque. So unfortunately, we were sitting in the second row to the left. So to see a movie this full of this many disturbing moments so close was very hard to be with. But I also think it added to the point that the filmmaker was trying to make. We're just gonna try to talk about the gist before we talk about spoilers. I thought it was provocative. I thought it was gritty. It was nothing like I'd ever seen before. It felt like this dark comedy, body horror, abstract. Like I just can't. And all of the different, themes and symbolism, comparing just beauty culture and beauty standards and what women have to deal with. Like there was so many moments where I saw myself in the character and what she was dealing with. And it made me like sick to my stomach and also really mad and also really sad. And just like the framing and the style and you will leave, like you will either walk out of the movie theater early because you're so upset, depending on who you are, or you will just sit there in like dumbfounded silence for a few moments. It's either one or the other. But is there anything you want to share about like the gist of it without giving anything away, and then we can get into more?
Very visceral.
For sure.
She did a good job. I started to get this pretty clearly more about halfway through, is that she basically creates, and she talked about this in the Q&A too.
There was a Q&A after.
So I got it even more fully. But yeah, she really was just kind of creating a world that doesn't actually exist within the framing of her film, story of her film.
Which I really liked.
Obviously, there's hints at real world stuff, but it was kind of nice to kind of live in this world that doesn't actually exist, and kind of get that, which allowed me to kind of be with the grotesqueness of it all, because it kind of adds like, and that,
like it's almost like a parody.
Yeah, it kind of adds a level of that fantasticalness, and there's a theme about dreaming is pretty prevalent. So it's kind of like the whole thing kind of exists as a kind of a messed up nightmare, if you will, dream and nightmare, kind of paradoxical, whatever. I don't know, probably not a paradox. But anyways, so yeah, that was really, really cool and really, really smart.
Surprisingly, Dennis Quaid is freaking killed it.
Dennis
I was
Quaid's
blown
phenomenal.
away. Demi Moore was amazing.
Yeah.
Margaret Qualley was amazing. I mean, I thought she was like a little basic, but I sometimes I think she's a little basic. But overall, I thought they were really, really good. Yeah. Okay, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. If you don't want it to be a review, change the channel, press pause. The film is definitely going to be nominated for...
I don't know.
It has to be nominated for best hair and makeup.
But it's also like it has to have people see it.
Yeah, unfortunately, if it's not, it's because barely anybody saw it. But like the hair, the prosthetics.
It won best screenplay at Cannes. So
Cannes.
I
know, I'm just teasing. The prosthetic special effects that they do in this are unreal. And what was so good is, like, I get that it won that for best screenplay because at every fucking moment of this film, every fucking scene, the stakes go up, and just when you don't think they can fucking go up anymore, it goes up again. And I literally kept being like, this has got to be the low point. This has got to be the climax. And I'm like, and it still isn't there. And then when it finally fucking ends, it's like unbelievable. The feeling of that kind of denouement, like this, but also like, I just thought all of the shots that she did was so interesting and making such a point, you know, like these like close-up shots of people's mouths and like close-up shots of like eating and even the close-up tight shot of when she threw the thing into the garbage and like was like taking it out of the garbage. And something that I kept thinking, like when I was watching it, was like they kept saying that they were one and the same, right? Like they were one and the same. So, but then there was like the part of me that would get mad at the particular person that was doing it, but they kept making a point. It wasn't like a multiple personality thing. It's almost like what they talk about in like therapy and psychology, this notion of like shadow work. Like there's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
I think the supplier of this drug was also just lying to them, because it was pretty obvious that they weren't one and the same. Because she would wake up and be like, what the hell? Like, I can't believe she did all this. Like, how dare she?
No, but this is what I think though. They are one and the same in terms of the fact that they both represent, this is what at least my interpretation, they both represent like the same side of a different coin.
Yeah, but that's just the
flip side.
That's just the symbolism of the characters. But I'm saying physically, they obviously don't share the same thoughts and memories because they're doing it at different times. That's why I thought it was so funny that she was like, would wake up and be like, oh, look at the mess she made.
No, I understand that, but my point is like, I'm not looking at it from that literal perspective, and I didn't really dive deep into that in my mind. But what it brought up for me when I was watching it was this notion of like the unbelievable hatred that Demi Moore had for the Margaret Qualley person that was herself. It was like this jealousy and this envy, but also this like weird, creepy pride and this like living through her and like wanting her to do that. And like the side of us that like wants to be admired and wants to be loved and wants to be perfect, but then also the part of us that like sits there and like binges on the couch and like destroys ourselves from the like I feel like they just made so many extraordinary like nuanced points about the pain that women go through to be beautiful and how they put themselves in that pain and they destroy themselves like from the inside out, not just with their like actual like hatred of themselves, but it's like I basically like got when I was watching it that one side could not exist without the other. And like in the hating of each other, it's like they're both part of her. And it's almost like we have to kind of learn to live with the part that sees ourselves in the mirror and despises these flaws and sees all these things that are wrong and wants to fix ourselves. But also the part of us that like, it's okay to want to fix yourself. It's okay to want to be admired. It's okay to want to be like beautiful and extreme. Like the kind of paradox and hypocrisy of what it is to be a human being, but specifically a woman. Like, at least I'm just sharing with you, like, that's what I got when I was watching it. I was like, holy shit. Like, she's literally like destroying her. The guy literally says when her finger gets messed up, you can stop now. And she's like, no, it's okay. I'll keep going. She would rather risk dying and slowly deteriorating and all of the pain that comes with it than have to love and face herself as the older woman that she is and like go out with that guy. And like, I was just like, oh my God. Anyway, do you have anything to say about that? Do you understand what I mean?
I mean, yeah, she also doesn't get anything out of it, which was fascinating. I was like, why would she keep doing this? Because, like I said, she doesn't seem to have any memory of it, or actually any experience of the other version of herself. So ultimately, she's living vicariously through this other person.
Yeah, almost like a mother or something.
This is pretty interesting. So it's like this.
Well, I think she gets something from it because then she doesn't have to be herself for like 7 days. It's like this weird, twisted, it doesn't make like much sense, but she's obviously getting something from it or she wouldn't keep doing it. And then it gets so bad and then she even stops short of killing her. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I would rather still, then be this monster that I've become. Because for her, she already was that monster. Mm-hmm. And I just like love the ending, like all the blood and everything spraying all over them. It like literally is like having people face like, look what she's become. Like, look what you've turned him into. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we could talk about it forever. Anything else you want to say before we?
No, it's good.
Just don't, if you have a sensitive stomach, just be ready. There's
a lot of needles.
Watch the trailer. You'll get the tone of what you're in for. You might be disturbed, but
if they've listened this long,
you're never going to forget it. You're never going to forget it. Well,